Oh, I didn't go live. So you guys haven't been able to see anything. Could you guys hear anything I just said? No, you couldn't, could you? Dude, I am a freaking retard. Sorry for the language. A terrible way to start the screen. Okay, well, welcome. I literally thought I was just streaming for the past, 10 minutes. I have been ranting and realized you guys couldn't hear anything that I was saying because I'd pressed the live button on Streamlabs, but I never pressed the live button on Studio. So you guys didn't hear anything. I don't think. Maybe I'm wrong. But I just went through a lot of stuff. Realized I'm a little bit insane because I think I was talking to myself the entire time. Nobody was participating, and it makes sense now. But I still saw a few random comments that were dropped in the chat from some of y'all that I was responding to. And I thought that you guys were actually, interacting with me some. So again, I apologize, but I am glad that we've got that fixed. We're back in here. We're live. We're going to go ahead and go back with it. So again, welcome back. It has been a minute. It is December 12th, 2023. Maybe, depending on where you are right now, it's December 13th. Either way, it is good to be back. It's been a minute. These are a lot of fun, and it's more fun whenever I'm able to do them. So I am glad to be back. Appreciate y'all's patience. A lot to catch up on with the market right now. So, obviously yesterday had the big move, the big wick down. Outside of that, we had Art Basel this past weekend. I mean, heck, I think there's still some DGens that have some Art Basel events through today, which doesn't make sense to me. I can't spend that long in Miami anymore. But yeah, the vibes were great. Happy to catch up on some of the stuff that ended up happening there. Talk through some of what I heard and some of the stuff to look forward to as well. So we'll catch up on everything going on in the crypto market. Might even take a look at equities. Honestly, man, I'm a little bit unplugged right now, right? I spent some time going through some stuff at Basel, but I think it's important when you go to events like that to just spend as much time as you physically possibly can being present and connecting with the people there, which was a huge focus of mine. So shout out, if anybody here was there and I did get to meet you, definitely met a lot of really cool people throughout the past week that wouldn't have had the opportunity to otherwise. So, dude, let's see. Let me catch up on the chat real quick. Glitch, good to have you here. Woodwork, Khan Tayar, Aliab. Message retracted though, but still, either way, good to see you. Anubis, OKC Anubis, good to see you. Yakimit, the mashup legend himself, good to see you. Promoters, I am doing well. Thank you for asking. Gil with the frowny face, hopefully we can turn that frown upside down by the end of this all. Just seeing Link on Twitter 3 minutes ago or so. Well, Michael, we are glad to have you either way. Metaverse Kid, the legend, good to see you as well. Taboti 9M, if you know, wonky stonks are inevitable. Tacky Chan 7, 10 minutes. Haha. I don't know, Tacky Chan, one way or the other. Like, we're here. Yeah, no, it was 10 minutes. Haha, like, for real. I kid you not. I was going through everything. I actually, I talked about, it's probably good that it was bleeped out and it wasn't recorded because I think I mentioned the word cock about 20 times answering John B's question about cock Inu. So we'll get there. We got a lot of stuff, a lot of charts to dive through, a lot of things happening across the market. And before we get going any further, though, a couple things real quick. Just, a few housekeeping items. So first and foremost, let's go to the profile page real quick. Go to X. You've got a second to do it. And I'm going to have you... Oh, shoot. Where is this? I'm going to drop a comment here. And what you're going to do is just to help, dude, the Elon algo sucks. Never gets anything that has external links out there. You're going to hit like. And you're going to hit retweet. And if I can do it, you can do the same thing too. I'm doing it shamelessly here. Yes, did I tweet this out, 30 minutes ago? Hell yeah, I did. Did I just retweet it again? Hell yes, I did. Because It's one of the only ways that like this shit actually makes it out. And I want people to participate. I want more of you in here. It's more fun for me. Yeah. So, you know, we're back. We're live. One of the goals that I told myself whenever I came back from Basel is just being more consistent. You know, I think before I really dive into the charts, I'll talk through some of those lessons first. So first and foremost, man, there are just a lot of people in this space that, again, whether you've connected with them or not, you know, you don't really see the work until you're there in person connecting and really diving deeper into what's going on with what they're working on, where their heart is behind it, what their real vision is. There's just a difference as far as being able to connect in person versus being able to connect on a screen like this, right? You're not always able to spend the time and due diligence across the multitude of projects you come across until you're there. And a few lessons that I think that I really took away more than anything else. One is consistency, right? So, you know, one of the things that I really want to take away from that coming back to this, again, is just, you know, a renewed focus on consistency as far as showing up each and every day with the streams, restarting the spaces too. Man, I spent some time hanging out with, you know, like Leap and Thread Guy a little bit on the NFT side of things. And bro, both those guys, you know, if I can preach nothing else from the past year, you know, it is about opportunity via consistency, just continuing to show up each and every day, building that audience. You know, shout out to Farouk as well. You know, I like really impressed by the guys at Rug Radio, what they're building over there, how they've been able to maintain that consistency throughout the past year. And yeah, you know, like it really just shows you, though, a lot of those guys started from nothing. When I look back as far as where I was in this space and where they were whenever they first really got into things, man, like a year or two ago, a lot of those names I just never really had heard of before. And they got to where they are, building those audiences and really building a brand and a company via just consistency and, you know, conviction as far as what it is that they're building and where they want to go with it. So really respect that, man. And, you know, it's whether it's them or, you know, like I had the opportunity, went to a dinner that DeesFi hosted, and it was, you know, this incredible time, met a lot of great artists. Seeing their passion for what they do is really inspiring. And I'd never really gotten the opportunity to sit down and speak to Snowfro before either. But, you know, incredible guy. And as far as his vision and kind of where he got to with Art Blocks and what his vision is going forward, you know, it really opened my eyes to the depth of what's really happening there versus, you know, I think beforehand, I'm not sure where I was as far as, you know, I'd always respected Art Blocks and respected kind of the vision behind what they had done. But, you know, there's just something different about hearing a person's story in person, really resonating and seeing kind of a little bit more of that depth that you just don't get on screen. So, yeah, anyway, point being, no, I didn't get to play basketball in the game on Sunday. I took off. And the other reason, Metaverse Kid, it's like if I was going to play on Sunday, which, again, I watched some of the replays of that basketball game, and I wish I would have. Like, bro, I know I would have been able to put up some points in that thing. Like, you know, that was... Shout out to the guys that had the courage to put their game on display in front of the camera. I didn't want to dox fully yet, right? You know, though I do kind of want to. Okay, that's one other takeaway. I really actually do want to get my face out there on camera, do some of that type of stuff sometime soon. There's just so many opportunities that you have being able to connect to people face to face. So, you know, still figuring out the best way to move forward with that, but we're going to do it. It's going to happen. But yeah, they were terrible. But again, I respect their game with the fact that they were actually out there hustling. It was, wish I would have done it. But it's also probably a good thing I didn't, you know, good to preserve the ankles, good to preserve all that. But yeah, you know, like I don't have all day. I know you guys don't either. So let's go ahead and dive into what the heck's happening with the market. All right, let's take a look at the Bitcoin chart. So with this massive sell-off here, and dude, had I not been lazy and on my flight, I actually would have tweeted something out about this the other day where it just, here was the other lesson too. It felt too frothy, right? We're too early right now for things to feel as frothy as they did. There was an abundance of just euphoria, I think really is the right word, right? Like people were euphoric. And conferences like that, where you start to see some of that visible euphoria, and we're this early in the cycle, this doesn't surprise me. I was kind of starting to expect we were going to see something like that. It just felt like we were due. And, on top of that, I started looking at this fractal again, and again, didn't really get the chance to tweet any of this out because I wasn't tweeting much. But if you look at like this extension followed by, before this ended up breaking down, what'd you end up having? You had this little pennant start to build up, something similar here. Looked like that, looked like the end, basically distribution at the end of a long extension, parabolic rise there. So, doesn't surprise me. I kind of do still think, I wouldn't be shocked right now if we do end up getting some type of, there's a little bit left down here to go before it ends up bouncing up. Again, wouldn't be surprised one more leg like that. But I do think overall we're going to start to see, some type of accumulation in this range, something like this, right? And what does that mean for you? Honestly, I think what we're looking at is this is healthy, right? When you've seen this type of growth up only from October through here, some type of a range, a new range, it's healthy, right? So, the real question during this period is what happens to the rest of the the coins, right? Like what is going to happen to your alts? What's going to happen to everything else? Let me see something real quick. Okay. So again, yeah, not surprised by this whatsoever. So kind of what I don't think that something like this is way too far off for what I still expect from here. Maybe not on this condensed of a timeline, but let's just take a look at, I don't think that this is unreasonable. So again, if you extend this timeline out a little bit, looking at it, basically slowly climb higher. Slowly climb higher through the halvening. And from there, I think anything's possible. Wouldn't be surprised if we did see a new all-time high post-halvening a little bit earlier than normal. That doesn't mean that it's going to be the peak of the cycle, right? Again, I think that we're going to have some significant growth still past that, but I wouldn't be shocked to see this type of a leg just continue to grind up back to the highs, by middle of next year. Sometime this summer, seeing a move like that to a new all-time high wouldn't be unprecedented. So, yeah, again, not really shocked by the little bit of a cool off, but dude, we're still above 40K, right? I think it's just where we saw a lot more of the pain is across a bunch of the alt names, right? Myself included, got overly bullish, and it's easy to happen whenever you're seeing a lot of that up only type of price action. But it's a good reminder of where we are in the cycle, and I think one of those things just have a little bit more patience with, because we've got a lot of room to go as far as where we're heading. And I want to go back to, I always bring up this BLX chart with where we are relatively, but dude, it's important because it's important to remember the big picture. So where we are relatively, dude, we are in this last little circle. We are in the last little circle here before the halving. And what is it marked by? Just slow growth closer to the trend. And the real growth happens post-halvening every time. Look, post-halvening ended up getting a massive run-up. Post-halvening, massive run up. Post halving, massive run up. So realistically, where's the next one going to happen? You know, sometime after April. Massive run up. So relatively, again, whether you're buying at 40K, 30K, let's say, God forbid, you know, we get to move back down to 30K and you're going to see the capo post left and right. Everything in this range, everything in this time zone right here is a gift. It is. You know, like, this is the best place you could possibly be buying. This whole circle, this whole circle, this whole circle, this whole circle. The best place you could possibly be buying and stacking any high conviction place. Crypto Heroes. I apologize again to that, bro. I posted on there, you know, like, it should at least have on the sign up page for my subscription thing that I do nothing with my, you know, like, the unfortunate thing about Twitter is I can't deactivate my subscription service. I can't even change the price. If I could change the price on my subscriber only content, I've only got 63 subscribers. I put on there very, very clearly that I do nothing with it. But if you want to support me by subscribing, if you just want the badge, want whatever else, you know, not going to stop you. That's amazing. And I appreciate it. But I also realize that, you know, I'd prefer to put the majority of my content out there just freely, right? You know, I don't like to put any type of paywalls behind anything. So again, you know, really, really appreciate anybody that does subscribe with it. But, you know, I do want to make it clear that I'm not doing anything else crazy with that right now. You know, just want to make it abundantly clear. But again, like, X really needs to do something to where you can actually go in and change some of that stuff, because the fact that I can't go in and change the price tier to where it's like $1 a month rather than $5 a month is ridiculous. So, and then on top of that, you know, the other thing that sucks about the subscription service model through this is Apple automatically takes 40% of the cut for whatever you end up getting. And that's before X even takes any cut. So it's just not a very efficient model to be able to do anything with either. So yeah, let's see. I want to go ahead, dude. What the? I don't even get why I get all these random. What's up there? All right, so let's go ahead and go over to some of the alts right now. We'll start by looking at Bitcoin dominance, where we are. So, okay, we've seen a little bit of a cool off in Bitcoin dominance the past several days, but at the same time, you know, I don't know, man. Whenever you see the type of correction, the type of distribution that we're in recently, I wouldn't be surprised to see this still take one more leg up and touch the top of this. I still think it's getting closer to a top. We've seen a lot of majors that have ended up expanding recently. You know, AVAX, for instance, it is one that we have watched play out nearly perfectly from the start to where we are now. And AVAX might still have a little bit left in it for this leg, but I'll even say this, man. I even think a name like AVAX, which, you know, I've been incredibly bullish on since back here in the middle of October, tweeting out about it, it's even starting to get a little bit frothy, right? You know, so we're going through names like AVAX that have been leading the past several days. And again, I'm not saying that it can't go any higher. I wouldn't be surprised to see it hit 50. But it's still in that range where it's like, you know, again, you've had right now from the lows, if you've been tracking along with this, following from the beginning, you know, watching a bunch of these spaces, bro, we've seen a 4x plus off of this on a major. Nonetheless, from this base range up to here, yeah, you know, up 350%, 388 or 86% at the peak. I mean, if you look again, like this expansion leg, this is one of the things that we were looking at saying, why would it be impossible to do this? So again, you know, could you potentially see a little bit higher from this following this roadmap? Maybe up here to the $50, $60 range. You know, it wouldn't be crazy. It kind of marks the base range for this whole distribution point here in early January of 2022 also, through late November, you know, at the peak of the bull market. But at the same time, man, it probably has a little bit of room to cool off. Like, you see these type of moves, it doesn't typically just, we're not at the point of the market where this is going to go straight to new all-time highs yet. Like, that is, I think, the message that I'm trying to get here as far as realistic expectations. So as far as realistic expectations, again, could you potentially get a little move higher here? Sure. But I honestly think that you'll get an opportunity for entries lower as well. I do. I think that we're going to have some type of accumulation phase in here where you're going to have an opportunity to be able to stack a little bit. So I just wouldn't get too much FOMO at this point into aping in these type of names that have ended up doing this. You know, I think that it'd be better just having patience, waiting for an entry that you feel comfortable with. Rather than, you know, FOMOing in after a 400% move in this short of a period of time. You're going to have another chance, right? Same thing with Sol. It's like, let's look at Sol. Sol hit the $80 target that we've been looking at for a while. That's not what I want to do. Let's see. Is Coinbase one the one I've been paying you? Oh, well. Oh, well, we'll just stick with this. Okay, so this is what I've been looking for from the beginning of this run up, right? Basically a return to the pre-capitulation level sell-off over here back in early May. And we saw that, right? Like, that's exactly where it peaked up, right at 80. That's what we've been looking for. So again, even with Sol here, you know, does Sol eventually go higher than this? Hell yeah, it definitely does. But after this type of a run up, you know, like, it's healthy to take a breather. So I just think that we're at the point right now when you're starting to look at some of these names hitting these type of targets we've been waiting on for a while. Yo, Brian, my man, good to see you, bro. Your DM still cracks me up. But yeah, man, like, seeing some type of accumulation here before any type of expansion, it just makes sense, man. Like, we've already had from the peak of, or from the base of this range. Dude, what is this? Like another 400 or 500? You know, that's crazy. Also thinking about it, that the AVAX move from the base, from where we were looking at, practically the same as the Sol move. Sol just has a little bit of a larger market cap though, so gets a lot more attention. People are saying AVAX is the catch-up trade. I disagree. I think AVAX has its own catalysts and its own narrative, and wouldn't be where it is right now without that. So actually super bullish on AVAX ecosystem as well. You know, incredibly bullish on the Sol ecosystem. I'm not saying anything else against it, but you know, just calling AVAX a catch-up trade isn't fair. So yeah, you know, point being that I'm getting at though with a bunch of these charts, I just don't think that we're at the point right now where, you know, if you feel like you've missed a lot of this leg up and you see confidence because we are up here in these, like, I think you're still going to get an opportunity. I wouldn't be surprised if, you know, we do touch somewhere in the high 40s, you know, mid 50s again from here. You're going to get an opportunity to buy a little bit lower. And that's okay. That doesn't mean that this rally, that doesn't mean that we are in a new bear market. That is just healthy accumulation after incredibly explosive expansion. Bro, you know, the funny thing about Brian DM'd me. I gotta read this DM. If I can find it. Oh my god, I got so many freaking DMs to go through. You have a weird jumper, but that shit goes in. Like, I was laughing my ass off at that. But dude, I never told you. So later in the day, I was a little bit, you know, had definitely one too many drinks, and Thread Guy invited me to play a game of horse with him. Dude, I could not hit the broadside of a barn whenever I was playing against TG later in the night. And there were way more people watching too. So it's one of those things where you're sitting there and you're shooting and you're like, bro, I swear I know how to shoot a basketball. I can do this. And I felt so good earlier. And of course, you know, you got the liquid courage and you had the heat check where, you know, when I was playing against Brian, I wasn't missing a lot. I was throwing up the most insane shots, like, you know, doing it behind the back from the free throw, doing it, they were just all going in. So I'm like, oh, of course it's going to be the same whenever I've got the liquid courage behind me too. And bro, I was just bricking left and right, embarrassing myself whenever people were actually watching. So, I mean, it's my own fault, right? Like, that's why, you know, don't drink and play basketball. It's not a good combination, kids. But anyway, it is what it is. So let's see. I got a few more comments to catch up on. Are we making money on Inch, sir? Jorgen, I'm not, but I'm happy for anyone that is. Inch has just been a beast. And when you look at Inch in perspective for where it is, market cap, well, like, it still has room to grow. No, Metaverse Kid, not at all. Hey, I mean, you know, maybe a few years ago I was decent, but I put a belly on. I've gotten old. You know, I'm not me. The ankles are glass. Like, now, I kid you not, the thing that's been my Achilles heel literally has been this freaking Achilles tendonitis that I've been dealing with from all the ankle injuries the past year. Sucks, but it is what it is. Okay, so a lot of people have asked a lot of questions though about different alts, different plays I set up. Honestly, man, I'm out of everything alts wise. I just think after that move down with Bitcoin right now, the market's going to take some time where Bitcoin might chop a little bit. I really do think that we're going to continue to see some pressure taken off of some of these big alt names, right? You know, you've seen enough of a run up here. Little bit of an unwind is healthy, and that's kind of where I am. I think it's just time to take the foot off the gas, and just kind of see what happens. Let the market shape up a little bit before really committing to anything too crazy. You know, that includes even the dog coins, man. It's like that rejection on Doge was freaking nasty. Really thought we were going to get the Livermore here. Really thought we were going to. And hey, who knows? Maybe we still do. But when I see a chart like this, I would rather wait. And I would rather ape in back here, you know, as we're reclaiming the highs into the bullish momentum than I would down here. Like, it's, I don't know, man. I just see the downside risk of that type of a rejection. Like, anytime I see that type of a wick there at the peak, it just is, you know, it screams to me downside. So as much as my heart says up, my head says down, right? So yeah, you know, I still have a decent Doge spot bag, but I am not in any longs, not in anything like that right now. You know, it is what it is. It's one of those things where, hey, I mean, if you've been following this from the peak through here, you've seen a decent run up, right? You know, from the base all the way back in, like, it's nothing too crazy though compared to a lot of names, but I mean, you're still looking right now after everything at a 40% run up. That's not terrible. But you know, and I do think Doge is eventually going to hit these highs again. It just is a matter of when, man. You still have everything coming up with SpaceX, with that launch, with all of that happening. But if some of these alts continue to bleed lower from where they are, I mean, Doge retesting somewhere back toward the base of this channel, like, you know, mid sevens, that's not crazy, right? So I would rather just sit in positions that you're not worried about anything outside of spot, where you can sleep peacefully at night. Look for solid, you know, have some cash on the sideline. Look for solid entries on some of these names. If this move lower does continue, you know, even Pepe, looking at it. It's like I would love for Pepe to continue to go higher. Really surprised that it didn't get a higher move so far. But I wouldn't enter Pepe again until I'd rather buy the highs than long the lows here. I'm just a little worried, you know, looking at this type of rejection, that we see something similar to here, where you ended up getting a move back down to the base of the range, which would be closer to, you know, point whatever 010 than it would be, you know, where it is right now. So, you know, some type, you know, followed by some type of distribution, maybe a move lower before, you know, wouldn't be shocked to see something like that. Honestly, I think that's more likely than just a direct move up at this point. You know, like you have to adapt for where what's happening currently with the market. And, you know, as long as Bitcoin was continuing to trend higher the way it was, you know, a move higher for Pepe, when you're looking at names like Bonk and what they were doing, that wasn't ridiculous to think. But again, you know, as things cool off, you have to be prepared that it's not ridiculous. You know, even a move back down here would still be higher than where it was in mid-October. So I'm just being patient. Same with that. Let's see. You know, Atom finally got its breakout, man. It's crazy. Atom, I'm just going to say this, bro. Atom was due. Like, it's one of those I've talked about forever, right? It was due. But, you know, here's the thing with Atom. Atom is also one of those cursed coins that when it has a move up like this, it doesn't typically happen until there's some pain across the rest of the market, right? So we've been watching Atom. We've been talking about it for a while. It does feel good to see it get some type of a relief move here. You know, and it probably continues to run a little bit more, right? Like, you know, looking at it in terms of the BTC price here, bounce off this base range. Let's see. It's going to keep bouncing. At least a little bit higher. I don't know how much, but it's got a little bit left in it. But even Atom right now, it's like, dude, I'm just de-risking across a lot of names. I just don't think it's anything that, you know, taking profit on a green name where the rest of the market's red is never a bad thing. And yeah, you know, like, again, we'll let the market shape up and we'll see what ends up moving forward, happening from here. But what I really just think it's just natural cool down after a crazy past month. Let's see. Thoughts on Harry Potter Obama Sonic 10 Inu coin? I've got it up there. Dude, I eventually think, again, I actually don't think the ticker Bitcoin's going away. I don't think it's going to bleed to zero. You know, I don't know where it goes from here, but I do think that eventually where you really want to start paying attention to it is when it breaks out of this leg and starts climbing back to these highs. That third touch is where I think it finally sends. So that may take a little while longer. But I'm bullish on ticker Bitcoin. Latency, good to see you, man. On Pudgy Friend, hey, really impressed by the Pudgy Penguins crew out there. Also, it was great meeting a lot of those guys. Let's see. All right, dude. First off, I don't know why I've got OpenSea up instead of Blur, but we'll take a look real quick. So we've seen a little bit of cool off. I even think a little bit of a cool off here is not crazy to think about after the type of move that Pudgy Penguins had. First off, love seeing it up here. It was something that was inevitable as well. You know, massive breakout in terms of ETH. USD price even more. Talked about the 12.5K significance of the USD price for a while. You know, Pudgies are going to continue to go higher. It's that simple, man. Like, slowly but surely, I think pudgies have room to grow. And there are going to be a lot of people that fade it. But the fact that they've been able to break into the double-digit ETH floor territory at this point of the cycle, they're going to hit 100 ETH. Later in this like bull market, there'll be 100 ETH plus. I've got no concern unless Luca and them do something somehow massively to fumble the bag, which I think they aren't. They've been very what I think there was a little bit of disappointment that there wasn't a Pudgy Penguins token for some people, at least, announced at Basel. But if you know Luca, you would have known that a token's not coming. At least right now, there was just no real market fit for it that they saw. And I think that they're taking the conservative route, still being aggressive with a bunch of partnerships, but taking the conservative route as far as new products they're introducing into their ecosystem. And I that's actually why I'm bullish on it. I don't think that the market was ready to handle the increase in liquidity as far as adding a new collection right now, what it would do as far as diluting the overall what they do. They've got 3 solid collections right now with the Pudgies, the Bigs, the Littles, etc. Adding another dynamic to that, just in my opinion, would feel a little bit rushed. Though I do think they're going to add some more stuff with whether they ever add a Pudgy token or not. I think they probably will one day. But the fact that they didn't do it now, it's good. It's healthy. Any type of a dip back beneath 10 ETH, which I think will probably happen for a bit. Solid place to stack. So, buy whenever whenever the hype is gone. Right now, there was a lot of hype leading up to Basel. I think right now you're going to have a little window where some of that hype goes away. So buy when the hype is gone. What about the new Trump NFTs? Bro, the fact Trump... The fact Trump is dropping, which this isn't it. I'm surprised he hasn't posted it on his Twitter yet because that's, he uses this to shill. The fact Trump is dropping another collection and flexing how fast it took for the other. I'll tell you one thing. If Trump is elected president, you are safe from every... you do whatever the hell you want with NFTs as far as people launching collections. Because... this dude has no shame, right? There's nothing that you do that is more egregious than what he's doing as far as launching new collections. So just watch his road. If somehow he finds his way back in office, NFTs, I already think they're going to go crazy, but with him in office, they'd go insane because, again, what is Trump going to do to stop you? What is he going to do? Or what are you going to do that he hasn't done already? Celestia is probably the next Solana. Dude, I bullish on Tia. Another one that has just been ripping. Don't fade what's been bullish, man. It's that simple. Wherever the momentum is, all because things have gone higher doesn't mean that they can't continue to go higher. So, if you look right now, let's see where Tia is market cap wise. Still 43. So market cap 1.8 bill. Again, just looking relatively at where it is for L1s versus where other comparable L1s as far as upside are, 10 bill market cap isn't crazy, right? So a run up like this, seeing Tia at $50, $60 sometime early next year, mid next year, there's no reason to think that's not possible. That's just if the market chops sideways. AVAX for the next couple of months, etc. Let and see. I honestly think AVAX takes a little bit of a breather here. Maybe it touches 50 or 60 first. Maybe we finally see it touch 50 in the Stars Arena. TVL is finally over a 1 mil, which I'll touch on SocialFi too. Dude, SocialFi, I should have some charts up for y'all. I don't. SocialFi is taking a breather. I still don't think SocialFi is done for. I think Friendtech's going to get another wave up whenever it finally announces its token. Something similar to what happened with Blur, where, you know, a lot of people thought Blur, like myself included, that the Blur airdrop would be bearish, created a bullish event. I think that Paradigm and Friendtech have something up their sleeves to where it'll be a bullish announcement whenever the token actually is live. And it'll be a huge liquidity event as far as, you know, a stimulus to people in that space as well. And I think they'll have continued incentives as far as farming for like basically a season 2, right? Season 1 is this whole beta phase where it's basically TVL locked in. I think they'll have an activity phase for season 2 that'll bring a lot of people back in. And whenever you look at waves of different metas, right? You know, the SocialFi wave right now, how it had its first speculation move. I really think right now, you know, you're going to see a new wave when you have a liquidity event combined with new entrants. And as the price of Bitcoin, etc., continues to climb higher, we're going to continue to see more entrants return to the market. As that happens, you get new blood, basically, that can pump into these ecosystems, really haven't experienced it before, and they're going to experience a more refined product. So I think as Friendtech makes that next move up, the rest of what has survived from the SoFi ecosystem will be buoyed up with it. So, you know, New Bitcoin City, which is alpha now, probably gets another leg up. Like, they have good devs there. I'm not a big fan of like the pure casino style. But I do think they've built some other stuff recently as far as that's concerned. So that probably sees a leg up. I think Stars Arena, which is now just the arena, they finally did the rebrand. As long as the team, like, here's the biggest thing. There's a lot of stuff now, like they finally done everything as far as the migration with security for the wallets. So, you know, new wallets, new contract, etc. They've got a lot of image issues to be able to recover from. So, you know, the rebrand was a big deal. But they still definitely have a few other things on the list. And I really think, you know, it's a huge signal to users just to have things like the small UI updates that everybody's been asking for, the UI UX things, like having reply to replies integrated, having some type of mute and block functionality, basic social media type of things that give it a more realistic type of experience, that you can filter out some of the noise as things continue to grow and actually make it a usable platform. It's usable right now because it's got a very small core group, and, you know, bullish on that. But definitely has a lot of little things that it has to prove continued moving forward. But I think they have the right team in place to where they can make that happen. It's just a matter of right now, they need that liquidity event at the upper levels of the market to really, I think, get the attention on them at the lower levels. So they've got to use the window that they have right now. And you know, I actually think it's a blessing that they have a window to develop whenever everything's not going crazy. And they have to really utilize that to prep so that they can scale whenever the market does turn back its attention towards SoFi. So we'll see. Again, right now, SoFi kind of a little bit of a break. Really think that wave up continues after the airdrop for Friendtech is actually done. Let's see. You hear about the cock meme coin on Avalanche, bro? I was checking out cock earlier. I missed out on a lot of these meme coins, unfortunately, on Avalanche, just because they all happened right as I left for Art Basel. I was not really that plugged in. Don't keep MetaMask on the phone, which I probably should, but you know, I just like to be able to avoid the temptation of doing anything stupid on there. And yeah, you know, like, so things took off. I just had the, you know, a lot of FOMO as they took off, but love to see it happening too, right? Like you're going to have that type of stuff happen across each one of these chains that end up being successful as they grow. And that's a huge part of what the narrative I think this next cycle is going to be, is the fact that there are multiple winning ecosystems, not just multiple winning names, but ecosystems that kind of thrive in and of themselves. And it's going to be, you know, CT is going to continue to be more bucketed, continue to be more isolated as each one of these things grow independently from one another. There's going to be some crossover, right? But like, we're going to notice how certain ecosystems just continue to separate themselves from each other. And it's not something where they necessarily are trying to do it. It's just a natural thing, right? Like the algo buckets you together with people with common interests. So we're going to have multiple ecosystems that have individual runs in NFTs, in altcoins, etc. Like it's going to happen. Am I farming any airdrops currently? Man, not like I should be, let and see. I really, I want to dive back in. You know, obviously, the Stars Arena airdrop, the Friend Tech airdrop, all the other SoFi stuff, like, you know, farm that. But outside of that, it's just, I haven't really buckled down the way I need to, because again, there's a lot of cool stuff coming up. A lot of airdrops that, you know, it still is airdrop season. Even if the market cools off, it's still airdrop season. It's still a lot of potential there as far as the different airdrops that are out there. So I really need to buckle down and just, you know, focus on the on-chain meta of figuring out what's out there. Like that is, I think, still the meta, still the thing to do. So definitely something that, I need to buckle down and get back into, man. Because I'll say this, even the hyperspace airdrop, like, bro, that's another one. If you were trading AVAX NFTs, I think that's being largely slept on by CT. Here's the deal. Like, I got a pretty decent airdrop that first time, 160 AVAX from hyperspace. And that was primarily all from the social side of it. So they had two buckets where they gave out different buckets of AVAX. 50% of it went to the social side of the airdrop. The other 50% went toward trading points. Well, they don't have a social side this time. So 100% is going toward trading points / you know, providing liquidity, etc. So yeah, I really think it's almost like basically by trading on there, you get a bit of a refund in AVAX at the end of it all. So still, like, I think AVAX NFTs are being slept on from that perspective. I've also heard Magic Eden. There are a lot of soul-based airdrops that are coming up. I've heard rumors of Magic Eden potentially having a token that they may be launching in the near future. A lot of other small stuff. Yo, let and see, 132. That's not bad at all. Let's see. Oh, what else? Okay, I'm not positive, but you know, one other thing I guess I forgot to do at the beginning of the video. So if you haven't liked this yet, please hit that like button. You know, it helps me with the YouTube algo. And make sure to hit that subscribe button also, which you can't even participate in these chats unless you do subscribe. So really appreciate everybody that does, everybody that's rolled out here for it. Let's see what else. What else do I want to look at right now? Again, I think my biggest thing right now that I brought up here is don't be surprised to see some cool off in big names as far as alts. I've taken the foot off the gas. I'm being patient, looking for some good entries on some names. Still think that we get lower on some names to be able to possibly ape into. I think Bitcoin does a little bit of chopping in the range that it's been in right now, near this 40K to 45K area before it really does anything significant. You know, basically following kind of that path right there before it ends up seeing another leg up. So, you know, hey, whether that's through the end of December, maybe into January, one way or the other, I think we've got some sideways where we are defining the range boundaries that it's going to chop within right now. Not really looking at anything in the 30K area. Atar, I talked about Doge a little bit earlier. I'm not going to recap, but feel free to check out that replay. do still think Doge eventually fills higher, but right now, just across the board, man, you know, I'd stick to spot bags. Longs just don't really feel too safe to me right here. We're not following the same type of momentum play that we were earlier. You know, when you've seen a breakdown from a parabolic move like that, you know, a little bit of consolidation, a little bit of accumulation, like it makes sense to range. And when Bitcoin ranges like this, you can see some growth in alts, but I think initially we're going to get a little bit lower across some alts before we start to see that climb back continue. Okay, currently farming Linea, Base, Scroll. So I have done some Linea stuff also. Oh, dude, Wormhole's one that I really... Yes, thank you for reminding me on that. Need to get into Hyperspace Season 2. Wormhole's a big one. Yeah, there are a lot of ones right now that are still on the list. But yeah, you know, hey, one other thing that brought up earlier, as far as like, you know, we talked about Pudgy Penguins and NFTs and Art Basel. I'm telling you this right now, people are sleeping on how big the NFT bull run this next cycle is going to be. NFTs as a whole are just going, like, to me, I think they'll have the most opportunity for the average person. A big part of that is NFTs incentivize, like, you know, this holder type mindset where you are a bag holder. And I think that there's certain points of the market that can be dangerous, but by being a community member, you know, it gives you the ability to dive in hand certain projects that if you were just holding the coin, you probably wouldn't have otherwise, that have explosive growth potential this next cycle. So I really think that's going to end up happening for a lot of different projects. We're going to see a lot of growth in multiple ecosystems. It just is by far the most intuitive thing for the average person to be able to comprehend and really dive into. So, you know, whether that's one-of-one artists, whether that is PFP projects, generative art, you know, each one of these different metas are going to see, you know, IP-focused art. Like each one of these different areas are going to experience their own growth curve, man. We're still not to the point of the market where we're seeing random mints pop up left and right every week like what we were. We'll get back there. And by the time we get back there, it'll probably get nearing of a top a little bit more, but we're still really early, man. There's like right now, I would be buying into most projects that seem, you know, like they've got some type of decent team, track record, etc., rather than fading them. And a lot of projects that have seen growth probably end up seeing more growth. Growth at this point of the cycle is bullish for later on in the cycle. You know, obviously wonky stonks are inevitable also. So if you guys haven't checked out my project, generative art, just charts as the art, which I see art every time I look at a chart. So check out the stonks. And yeah, man, like there's a lot to look forward to here in the next couple of years. It's exciting times. So don't let little red candles, little sell-offs like this scare you. We're still in a good position. You know, you just finally get a little bit of a breather, and that is healthy. That is a good thing. Appreciate it while it's here and make the most of it. So yeah, with that, guys, I wish I had all day, but I'm going to set up another one of these for tomorrow as well. We're going to continue to make this something that's consistent. And I'm also going to start back up on some spaces too. So spaces are going to be a more regular thing again. It has been a while since I have done that, been on the spaces grind, but connecting with people this week, it really just made me miss not just speaking to y'all. You know, again, I like connecting in this type of environment where you guys can comment back and interact with me on these streams, but spaces are special in and of themselves. So spaces are going to be a thing as well. So again, make sure you like, drop a comment, subscribe, do all the above. Just good to have you guys back on here. So looking forward to doing more of these moving forward and, you know, try some stuff other than looking at charts. So any ideas too of things that you want me to check out? even just in-chain app or, on-chain apps, different things like that to just walk through as one of these. Happy to do that as well. Any ideas that you have, I don't know, man, let's freaking tackle them and do everything we can to prep for this bull market together. So with that, I will see you guys tomorrow. Take it easy.